the question is, when are we going to get the Scream 7 green light? Because it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to another video review here on TBR Media. My name is Jared and joining me today is Linda.
Yay, hi! I think this is the first time one of us has done this remotely.
Yes.
And like always, whenever we do these things, there's some hiccups to start with, but you know what? We did it. We did it, and I'm actually able to review even when I'm not in Nebraska, so...
Very exciting. Very exciting. And, you know, like, it's always one of us that has troubles with some type of software issue, whether it's on my end, your end. He
says that, but let's face it, it's always on my end.
Most of the time it's on your end. Most. But there has been the occasion where my software has failed me. So, you know what? Like, maybe once or twice. But we are here to review Scream 6. The Scream team is here, and we are going to talk about Scream 6. We're going to do a non-spoiler discussion, and then we're going to do a spoiler discussion where we spoil the fuck out of this movie. And that'll be over on our Patreon. And you can find that by going to patreon.com/theboromedia. I guess first, let's start with just general thoughts and feelings about it. So I'm going to toss it to you. What were some of the things that you were looking for in this sequel to the 2022 Scream 5? And did they subvert your expectations, one? And two, did they stick the landing?
100% like yes on all of them. Oh my god. I haven't loved a Scream movie this much since the fourth one, and I'm just completely obsessed. Like, just everything. We both had our reservations, and I did like the fifth Scream. Don't get me wrong, I did like it, but I had this feeling in my gut that it was the start of the downfall of the franchise. And it got even worse when Neve Campbell said that she wasn't going to be returning as Sydney. And I just, not gonna lie, I wasn't really looking forward to this movie as much as I wanted to, as much as you wanted me to. But, oh my god, I loved it so much. Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
It was really good. Yeah. I had maybe not as many reservations as you. This is what I wanted Scream 5 to be. I wanted to go into the movie and I wanted to understand that it was respecting the legacy of Wes Craven and the original crew. And it did that, but I was really looking for a reset of sorts, something to invest everyone back into this universe without that attachment, so that the franchise could live on and that we could keep getting more and more movies. And while Scream 5 was very, very good, you know, there are parts of it that I was just having a discussion with Ren. It didn't, sure, the connective tissue is there, but it didn't give me the hope for the franchise that I would have liked to see. This movie does it almost immediately. And I'm talking within the first opening. I was like, oh, this is new. This is new, and this is fresh, and it's exciting, and it's tense, and it's gory, and it's honestly, yeah, like I would say it's one of the better Scream sequels.
Like sure. The suspense, the intensity was off the charts, and when they were making Scream 5, what had attached the core three, the main cast of the rest of the Scream films, was because they read the script and they're like, oh, it's like a love letter to the franchise. I feel like this was the love letter. This one was what put the trademark stamp of calling it a legacy. It was incredible. Like you said, this was what Scream 5 should have been. And so there's very few things that I did not like about this movie. I had more issues with the last one than I did with this one. This one just brought my entire heart and soul and reminded me of why I love these movies so much. And I just...
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree with all those points. I think this is definitely solidifying the legacy while
Mm-hmm.
also showing us that we can have a fresh interpretation of Scream come to life in front of us. Nev Campbell not being in this movie, a lot of people thought it was going to hurt it. I was a little bit more optimistic than everyone. And I was
Sure.
proven correct because her not being in it, sure. Obviously, they're going to reference Sydney. You can't go a movie without referencing Sydney. They do. That's not much of a spoiler. But what I'm talking about here is that detachment from having to have those set expectations. It allows the story and the characters to breathe. And we have got an amazing cast this time around. I mean, all the core four, as they are, called in this movie, are back. So you have Jasmine Savoy Brown, Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, and Mason Gooding. Courtney Cox also comes back. And then you have returning character who I was so happy that they brought back with Hayden Panettiere's Kirby. But the new cast is also really, really solid. I mean, you have Devin Nakota, Josh Sagara, Jake
Mm-hmm.
Champion, Liliana Liberato, Tony Revolori, Samara Weaving, Dermot Mulroney. So many people that are in this movie. And of course, you can't go a Scream movie without the voice of Roger L. Jackson, who is once again menacing and terrifying. And everything that you've come to love from his vocal performance is here in this movie. How did you feel about the cast? Did it make sense where the story went? Obviously, taking place in New York, it's a lot more dense. It feels denser. Did all of the new characters in that new setting work for you at all, or did you have any gripes about that?
Actually, yeah, no, I liked it a lot. One of the issues that I had with the last Scream film was just the cast that they did introduce. They all seemed very stale, and you didn't really get to know them, and it you couldn't really connect with any of the characters really. Like even Tara, who was even a big deal in the last one, I did not like her character, but in this one, I actually did. They gave everyone an actual personality, and they didn't even have to like the runtime of this movie was 2 hours, which is a little longer than most Scream films, but not that much longer. And I feel like that time was so much worth it to actually be able to develop these characters. And the one character I was actually like most impressed with was Chad, because
Mm-hmm.
I did not give a shit about Chad in the last one. Not,
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't. He was just a jock that was following around his twin sister the whole time. This one, he actually became a person, and I actually liked him a lot too. And yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
I liked all the new characters too, and the setting, it felt weird not to be in Woodsboro or even California,
It
but I
felt so
think
good. It felt
it
good. It felt
did.
right.
It
Mm-hmm.
did. Like it was time for the franchise to move somewhere else.
And you know what? I would even be okay staying in New York for a minute or two.
Hmm.
Like let's explore New York a little bit more. Like that's, I'm down with that. Like if they wanted to go that direction. Um I do think that all things considered, this is definitely a worthy sequel. Um what are some of your negatives without going into any spoilers at all? If you had to, like, if someone was holding you at knife point and was like, Linda, you got to tell me right now, like, what would you
Okay.
say?
There was one. Um Gail. We have seen her throughout 5 movies before this one, and through that time she's gone through so much character development. She's gone through so much personal growth in all of these, and I feel like the first impression we get with Gail in this one, it sends you back to the first and second films, but not in a good way. Like she becomes like, uh, it's hard to describe. Like
Mm-hmm.
just the few scenes she was in, talking with Sam and Tara, at first, it kind of brings you back to the old Gale, which old Gale was still a badass, but there were some
Cutthroat
fault.
journalist. Yeah.
Yeah, And, you know, as fun as that old Gale was, I don't like that we get that side of her again after all this time. Like she's done so much to build herself up that I wasn't really a fan that she just resorted back to Scream 1 and Scream 2 Gale.
Yeah.
I just feel like that wasn't really her anymore, so it just felt off.
It did, and I think a lot of that had to do with the scene that she's introduced in specifically. You know, there, without spoiling anything, it's kind of it takes you aback. It's like all of a sudden, like she's just there in the scene, and you're like, wait, what? And and very much so, she has the similar vibes of the Gale from the past, and so it hits you like a train, you know. And at first, yeah, I didn't know how to take it either. But the more and more that she has, you know, with dialogue, with connecting with the core four, I started to kind of believe it a little bit more. But I think
Right.
people are definitely going to look at that and go, maybe that wasn't the best, you know, creative choice to make
Right.
for that character. But at the end of the day, like, that's a small gripe in a movie like this. Like,
It
small
is.
gripe.
Yeah, and I there wasn't any like insinuating in any of those scenes, but I kind of want to believe that it's still from Dewey's death. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's just got the walls now because of it.
100%. That's how I read it. And I
Yeah,
read it, you know, it's been 1 year since the events of Scream
right.
5. And
And
so,
that's how
yeah,
I'm just gonna cope with it. Like, oh, you're just being old Gale because Dewey's not here. That's how
right.
I'm gonna accept
Well, but even,
that.
okay, so, you know, people have seen the phone call, clips of the phone call scene that she gets. There are a
That
few
was a
times there.
badass scene, by the way.
There are a few times in that scene where you recognize that she's already lost everything, like, and she just does not care. Like it's very much how I felt about Nev in the finale of Scream 5, where she was, you know, talking to Ghostface walking up the stairs, and she's like, "I'm bored," and just hangs up. It was
Yeah.
very much on that level. So I, you know, and it was a great scene. But I think, you know, looking at it now after seeing the film, I think I can digest her character a little bit easier. For me,
Right.
the gripe that I had was mainly just the dialogue in some places. It just felt a little weird. But unlike the last movie, me and Ren were talking about this on the podcast that dropped on Thursday. We both felt the blocking of the third act in Scream 5 was a little strange. Obviously, they weren't shooting in that original house. It was a sound stage. They had the entire set built. And so
Right.
blocking and editing in that third act in Scream 5 felt a little bit off. This one, it feels right. And everything feels purposeful and intentful. So, you know, as far as that goes, I feel like that was another thing that they kind of turned on its head for the better. But the dialogue in some places still is just a little bit cheesy. And I know it kind of is a staple, but I think about the second film, and I don't feel that movie, the dialogue in Scream 2 is really cheesy. It's very serious. There's a very serious tone to Scream 2. And they pull some of that over into this movie. It is a little bit darker. It's a little bit more thrilling. There's a lot more to digest in terms of what's happening and how fast things are moving. And you don't really get a moment to breathe in a few sequences. And I love it. I love that about this film.
Yeah, no, it was just from start to finish, it was just on the edge of your seat. And it's been I can't remember the last movie that made me feel that way.
Yeah. And I was talking to so many people are excited for this movie. You know, I think it's going to break franchise records in terms of Scream films as far as opening weekend box office. We were at Walgreens, actually. We stopped at Walgreens before we came home tonight after the screening, and Ren had her Scream earrings in. And the lady behind the counter was
Cute.
like, "I really love those earrings. Don't tell me anything. I'm going to see it tomorrow night." And just, I feel the love from the audiences. Like, I feel the love radiating, and obviously it's getting great critical consensus. So the question is, when are we going to get the Scream 7 green light? Because it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the theater I went to, I was wearing my Woodsboro Film Club t-shirt, and I think there's only like 1 or 2 people in the showing that I went to that wasn't wearing some type of Scream shirt. And right after the movie, I went and got Starbucks right across the way, and I was getting my mocha, and the lady, like the barista at the counter, she was asking me about it, and I'm like holding my little poster that I got for free, and she's like, "Oh, did you like it?" And I was like, I loved it so much. And she's like, "A lot of people have been telling me to go see it," and I was like, "You need to go see it, like, right now."
Yeah, get off work.
Yeah,
get
just
to that
go.
Cinemark.
Just go. It's fine. It's right across.
Do you have any final thoughts before we give a final rating on Scream 6?
Go watch it.
And
this movie did remind me that Samara Weaving is British. As soon as she had that accent, I was just like, why does she have an accent? I was like, oh.
I think she's Australian.
Is it Australian?
Yeah, I think it's either. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Australian. But yeah, no, I love that they kept her original dialect for it, too.
It's cute. I was just like, cute. Oh, why does she have an accent? And I was like, oh.
That's just the way she speaks. Right.
Totally forgot, but I mean, it was cute.
Yeah. Well, so for me, I think out of 5, I have it right now at a 4.5 out of 5, which is a 9 out of 10 for those of you doing quick math. That's currently where it's at for me. It is certainly, I think, in the top 3 Scream films of all time. Undoubtedly. So that's my final rating.
I mean, I give it a 4.8. I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yeah. A lot of people saying it's the best since 96. A lot of people.
I agree.
I disagree, but I understand. I think it's the best since 97. I'll give you that. I love Scream 2. Scream 2 is actually higher than Scream 1 on my personal ranking. I write a lot about Scream 2 and just what that movie did. Because honestly, nothing's as terrifying to me. I mean, yes, the opening scene in Scream with Casey Becker, iconic. Absolutely downright terrifying. That Maureen Evans kill in Scream 2 in that crowded theater, nah, man. Miss me with that. That is terrifying. Like, terrifying. Couldn't go in a public bathroom stall.
Are just... Yeah. You can go to a public bathroom stall. I think his mistake was just not minding his own business.
True. Fair point. You got me there.
So there you go. Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for watching our review of Scream 6. Go check it out in theaters this weekend. You should. It's getting high praise from us, from practically everyone else. So you should definitely check it out, and make sure to go over to patreon.com/theburrowmedia to watch our full spoiler discussion. We are about to get into spoilers. So go watch that video now, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.